I've never done this before. I'm excited and a little nervous. So, before we begin, I wanted to let you know that when I grew up, I had these Disneyland records, and you would turn the page whenever you would hear Tinkerbell ring. Do you remember that? Anybody old enough to remember that? So, put this over here. So there's a lot of slides going on, and our media tech people are doing a wonderful job, but just for fun, whenever you hear Tinkerbell ring, you'll know it's time to change the slide, okay? Well, let us all pray together. Gracious and loving God, may the songs we sing and the meditations of our hearts be pleasing and glorifying to you. For you alone, O God, you are the rock and our Redeemer. Amen. Well, sometime around between now and this fall marks my 10 years being here at First Congregational Church. So I'd like to recap a list of 10 things that I've accomplished that have brought me a lot of joy. I first arrived to be the keyboardist downstairs in the Mayflower room in the basement around 2012. I've written many musical arrangements for the New Creation Ensemble, the choir, the instrumental ensemble, totaling well over about 100 pieces of music. I helped create and implement the Christmas Eve jazz service, which is currently on sacred pause. I wrote our courtroom drama skit, and with the help of the New Creation team, we presented it, and it was bringing affirmation and scriptural defense to the LGBTQ+ community. And it's still online, and we still get some comments from people that find it, so. Oh, it's already on, okay. I designed our God logo. Who knows that? Yeah. I served on the search committee and the committee to write our revised covenant and mission statement. I finally graduated from the basement to become the organist and music designer. During the pandemic, I put us online on YouTube and became the video designer and figured out how to get dial-in worship going. With the help of my life partner, we spent many hours drilling holes. You can see the little encasements that go from up there all the way to the office to get our media video technology going. And finally, I've been asked to do a sermon. Right on 10 years. By the way, I think this is the first time in the church's history that a sermon's been delivered from a toy piano. So let me tell you a little bit about this thing. Let me put it back up where okay. It all fits, great. So this is my vintage Casio MT68 from the late 1900s. It was given to me by Santa Claus after I'd been eyeing it heavily at the service merchandise store in Glendale. Do you remember that store? Well, I don't think my parents would have thought I would continue to still use it in gigs occasionally, mostly for comic effect. I also never would imagine that I would use it in a sermon, but you know. So thank you, Santa, for this gift that just keeps on giving after nearly a long time. I don't know. So as we sing these hymns today, you'll understand why I want us to sing in unison with no accompaniment. I'll just use this to help us get pitches. But I don't want to waste your pleasure of knowing what this thing is actually capable of doing. So actually pull up the first hymn that we're going to do, number 4. And by the way, between all of my stories, you can go ahead and get the next one ready. But I'm just going to, don't sing this, I just want to show you what this keyboard can do because it's why I love it so much. I love it, yes. I've had this thing since I was a teenager. So many of you know I wrote an entire play a few years back. Before being accused of plagiarism here today, I need to point out that though I am a writer, as we say, when God is still speaking, often those words, come from the mouths of other preachers, even from different denominations. Well, God is still speaking. And frankly, I couldn't say it any better, but I'd like to thank Reverend Mary Dick from Meridian Street United Methodist Church for allowing me to borrow some of her words from some of the stories you're about to hear. So before jumping in, go ahead and tap that again. Does anybody know who that is? Well, you know, depending on. So Paul McCartney is credited with saying, "I love to hear a choir. I love the humanity, to see the faces of real people devoting themselves to a piece of music. I like the teamwork. It makes me feel optimistic about the human race when I see them cooperating like that." So Paul was talking about a choir, but the beauty of church is that we're all in the choir. Singing in church is about singing together. It's not a spectator sport. It's not another concert to listen to others make music. It's about pulling out the hymnal, doing your best to join in, kind of like we said in the call to worship, no matter where you are in your singing ability. Sing. Yes. So my point is, we are all the Mayflower singers. So we are all the choir. We have some song leaders. We have people that join in that maybe don't know the songs and they're learning them for the first time, but that is what we are doing here. So let's go ahead with, where are we at? There we go. If this gets annoying, I can just point. Let me know. Yeah. So singing has been the story of God's people from the beginning. In the book of Exodus, after the dramatic escape from Egypt through the Red Sea, what's the very next thing we're told happened? What did they do? They sang, yeah. Moses and the Israelites sang a song to celebrate and retell their amazing story of God's deliverance. We're told the prophet Miriam, Moses was her brother, she couldn't stop there. We're told she gathered up some tambourines and pulled together all the women to sing it again and again, this time like they meant it. She knew the big moments in life should be marked with song. So let us now sing together this first hymn. Oh, by the way, these hymns aren't designed to relate in context to the stories. These are a collection of many of the requests I got from the epistle note a few months back. So not only are we singing together today, but we've created this sermon and song together. And we're doing what? Verse 4, right? Okay. Mortals join the mighty chorus which the morning stars began. Boundless love is reigning o'er us, reconciling grace and God. Ever singing, move we forward, thankful in the midst of strife. Joyful music leads us onward in the triumph song of life. All right, so fast forward a few hundred years to Deborah. Her story is found in the book of Judges. She's remembered as a powerful and effective leader in Israel. She was also considered a prophet. Her story is set in a time of conflict. Well, what time is not conflict? The Israelites were oppressed by the Canaanites and crying out for help. So their leader, Deborah, steps in to save the day. She works with her general to defeat the oppressors. And when it's all said and done, what does she do? She sings. Just like Miriam and Moses, her song recalls and celebrates what God did. It says the land was peaceful for next to nearly 40 years, and I think they kept on singing that song. All right, De Colores, page 402. We're going to sing verse 2. Sing, rejoicing, every creature that breathes, raise a song to the God of creation. Sing, rejoicing, sing to God who's Lord, and offered salvation. Sing the good news, sing the love of the Savior, laughing and colors of all. Many colors that shine on God's face, many colors that tell us what's love to recall. I'm sorry, I'm having way too much fun with this. All right, so continuing our travelogue of song in the Bible, we fast forward again to this time to King David. We often associate David with song because of the Psalms, but I think that his joy for singing came about because he was shaped by the power of song at a young age. There are these verses tucked away in the 18th chapter of 1 Samuel, right after the infamous David and Goliath story. Everybody knows how that goes. The little shepherd boy becomes the unlikely hero, defeating the very large, ho, 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 Goliath. So Saul is suitably impressed and puts the boy David in charge of the army. Some women decide, however, that's not enough. It says in those verses, as they were coming home, when David returned from killing the Philistine, the women came out of all the towns of Israel doing what? Singing and dancing to meet King Saul with tambourines, songs of joy, and musical instruments. And the women sang to one another as they made merry, and I don't know what the melody was, but I'm going to say it's this. Saul has killed his thousands, David his 10,000s. Anyway, King Saul did not appreciate their ditty. They sang to make a point, in this case, a political statement. These women knew the power of song, and they used it. Saul heard them, and it says he eyed David from that day on. Of course, David became king, recognizing the power of song, calling for singers to serve in his court. He organized nearly 300 musicians into a great choir and orchestra to sing the songs of Yahweh. Holy, 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 God the Almighty, all your works shall praise your name in earth and sky and sea. Holy, 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 merciful and mighty, God in three persons, blessed. By the way, standing up here, listening to the natural acoustics of this church, especially singing in unison, we sound like a really good choir together. And we have this mic set up, we figured out for the live stream, if we pick up the sound of the entire sanctuary, people at home can hear our beautiful singing together. So jumping ahead another few years in 2 Chronicles, we get this fascinating account of a military strategy. Ready for this one? King Jehoshaphat is facing an invasion, so he sends out his army. That's not the fascinating part, this is. Oh, by the way, our song leaders, would you stand up and face everybody? We're in wartime right now. So what does King Jehoshaphat do? He puts out his singers first. How do you feel about that? We're sending you out to battle first. You can sit down now. He sent the choir in first, not the people with the weapons of armor. This seemingly crazy king thought it wise to fight off an invading army with hymns. However, miracle upon miracles, it worked. It worked. Great is your faithfulness, O God, Creator, with you no shadow of turning we see. You do not change, your compassions, they fail not. All your goodness forever will be. Great is your faithfulness. Great is your faithfulness. Morning by morning, new mercies I see. All I have needed, your hand has provided. Great is your faithfulness, God, unto me. I forgot an important joke I was supposed to do at the beginning. Everyone that preaches wears a stole. I don't have one, but I have this tie. I screwed up. I was supposed to do this at the beginning, but oh well, never too late. Now don't be scared. This is not going to be a long story. We could point to many other songs as well, and that's the many part. I'm not going to tell you all of them. For example, the happy song of wells in the wilderness, found in Numbers, the song of Moses and Joshua, found in Deuteronomy, David's many songs of lament, found in 2 Samuel, the obscure songs of Isaiah, Ezekiel, Habakkuk, and many more. Of course, we also have entire books of the Bible devoted to songs. Psalms is the most famous one, of course, but there's also the scandalous Song of Solomon, an epic love song, and then Lamentations, admittedly not one of my favorite because it's a set of 6 dirges. But let's sing something that's not a dirge. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. Each little flower that opens, each little bird that sings, God made their glowing colors and made their tiny wings. All things bright and beautiful, all creatures great and small, all things wise and wonderful, our dear God made them all. It's almost over, I promise. So now we're going to hop over to the New Testament very briefly. We find more stories of song. We have the song surrounding Jesus' birth, Elizabeth and Zechariah's song, the Benedictus, Mary's song, the Magnificat, the angel's song, Gloria in Excelsis, the song of Simeon, Nunc Dimittis. As the gospel goes on, we're told that song was a part of the adult Jesus' spiritual practices. So next week we'll be celebrating our Savior's Supper. How's that for alliteration? First modeled for us in the Last Supper, Jesus shared with his friends in the upper room. Now, do you remember what happened in that upper room? We all remember the bread and the cup, but sometimes we forget how the story ended. Before they left the upper room, it says they sang together. God of grace and God of glory, your people, your crown your ancient church's story, bring its thought to glorious love. Grant us wisdom, grant us courage, for the blessing of its song. Last one. All right, so there's a lot of conflict in the world. There always seems to be. Of all of God's creation, I'm very down on the humans, favoring cats and dogs as a better representation of how God's creation is beautiful and not evil and filled with conflict. However, of all of creation, the one thing that makes us humans unique is what? That we? Yes. Of course, you could argue that the sounds animals make can be a form of singing. Frogs croaking in the bog together at night, cicada bugs in July, crickets chirping on a summer night, birds singing in the spring. Oh, by the way, do you know why hummingbirds hum? Because they don't know the words. All right, last slide here. Now all together, may it be so. Thanks be to God.